I hope that you have enjoyed watching the DVD video of part 1 of the trip to Reno, Lake Tahoe, and Yosemite. This video is part 2 and continues the photo story of the trip. It begins with coverage of yet another amazing sight to see in Yosemite, Half Dome. Other photos of Honduras in the Yosemite area follow. Then the trip continues south to Fresno and then directly east to Kings Canyon National Park. Thereafter, I begin the return trip to Reno utilizing the Sonora Pass. Again, thank you for taking your time and attention to watch some of the remarkable beauty and landscape of America with me. Yosemite's Half Dome is a large granite mountain that rises nearly 5,000 feet above Yosemite Valley and 8,800 feet above sea level. It is an icon and the subject of much photography. It is also a great challenge to many hikers. George Anderson reached the summit in 1875, in the process laying the predecessor to today's cable route. Today, thousands of people reach the summit. For most, it is an exciting, arduous hike. For a few, it becomes more of an adventure than they wanted. Much of the hike to Half Dome is an adventure into wilderness, and a real challenge to your safety. The 14 to 16 mile round-trip hike to Half Dome requires great conditioning, solid preparation, adequate clothing, and of great importance fluids and nourishment.
Hi, I'm Vicki Mates, and I'm a park ranger here in Yosemite. Today I'd like to talk with you about one of Yosemite's most famous hikes, Half Dome. Now, Half Dome is one of the most striking features on the Yosemite landscape. It's not only inspired adventuresome spirits to climb it and to hike it, but also geologists to study it, and artists to capture its unique beauty on canvas and on film. Hiking this Yosemite icon is an extraordinary accomplishment, and it can create a memory of a lifetime. But Half Dome is an extremely challenging hike, and it can be dangerous. You must be prepared in order to have a safe and enjoyable hike. The Half Dome hike is one of the longest and steepest day hikes that you're likely to encounter in a national park. It's a 14-mile round trip and gains nearly 5,000 feet in elevation. This is more than double the distance and elevation gain as most difficult hikes in Yosemite. Plus, it requires a mountaineering component at the end, climbing the cables. If you have an intense fear of heights, the cables will present a great challenge to you. Keep in mind that most people need 12 hours to hike to the top of Half Dome and back before dark. So start this hike at dawn or just before. Here's what to expect along this trail. The hike begins along the Mist Trail, which follows the Merced River up hundreds of steps to the top of Vernal Fall. This section alone keeps the Yosemite Search and Rescue Team busy each summer with injured knees and ankles. After you reach the top of Vernal Fall, the trail continues up another steep section of stairs to the top of Nevada Fall. Remember to be very careful when you're near the water. It's extremely cold and swift. The hike just to the top of Nevada Fall is already considered a long, difficult day hike. And what may surprise you is that it's not even half the distance to the top of Half Dome. The next 4 miles travel up through a forest environment, and then you arrive at the Subdome. Now, most visitors have heard of the Half Dome cables, but climbing the Subdome to the base of the cables is nearly as serious as the cables themselves. The climb is similar to climbing the hundreds of steps of the Mist Trail, only now the steps are at 8,000 feet in elevation, where the air is thinner and the breathing can be harder. From here, the remainder of the trail is above tree line and totally exposed to the weather. If there are clouds overhead, it may be unsafe for you to continue. If the weather is cooperative and you continue up the Subdome, you will arrive at the cables. The cables are in place from late May to early October, and they are not for the out of shape or the faint of heart. They're vertical and exposed, and surprisingly much harder to go down than they are to go up.
My name is Steve Bumgardner. I'm a videographer for the park, and I was shooting on the top of Half Dome on a July morning when a thunderstorm rolled in very quickly. The threat of lightning was very real, and everyone on the summit decided that they should go down. The problem was it began to rain at the same time. Once water falls on that route where the cables are, it becomes incredibly slick. The cable itself is very difficult to hold on to when it's wet, and the fear of falling led to basically a traffic jam on the cables. So once we were stuck on the cables, we then became very exposed to the risk of lightning. And the cables themselves became electrified. My metal frame pack began shocking me. People's hair began to stand up on end, and the fear in my gut grew very rapidly. I think that experience really opened my eyes to how dangerous Half Dome can be and how serious the threat of weather is.
Most deaths and injuries on Half Dome have happened when the rock is wet. So check the weather before you hike. In the summer, mornings can be deceptively clear and warm, but in the afternoon, cold rain and lightning can quickly move in. It's a really good idea to bring along extra layers of clothing to keep you warm and dry on this hike. Also remember to bring along the usual supplies for any day hike, like ample food, a first aid kit, and a whistle. From the top of Half Dome, there are a few things to know about your return trip. Once you're at the top, you are only halfway done with your hike. You still need to descend 5,000 vertical feet and 7 miles. So again, it's important to leave early in the morning when you start this hike and plan the timing of your return accordingly. To sum up, Half Dome is a spectacular hike, full of waterfalls, quiet forests, and breathtaking views. With a little bit of planning and preparation, you can greatly increase your chances of having a safe experience. I hope you have a great Yosemite visit and a wonderful Half Dome hike. We'll see you on the trail.
The next section of photos will highlight views of what is called naleduc meadows. The views will show the vista looking from the tunnel view eastward into Yosemite Valley and also from an area near Yosemite Village looking westward. The meadows is a flat area of land near the base of Yosemite Falls moving in a generally southwest direction past the Yosemite Lodge. El Capitan can be seen on the right with the cathedral spires and cathedral rocks on the left. The Yosemite Village is the primary developed place in Yosemite Valley. It is situated along the north side of the valley floor near naleduc meadows. Its permanent population includes National Park Service staff and some concession workers. The center provides the place for an introduction to Yosemite and its many wonders. The village in name sounds much more impressive than its reality. While the site provides some useful facilities, such as a fire station, a post office, the medical clinic, a convenience store, restaurants, gift shops, a school, the park's headquarters facilities, and main visitor center, it is not very impressive. The reality reveals the village is basically a one-lane walkway that acts as a departure point to other attractions in the park, such as a view of the lower falls. It sits midway between the two overnight facilities, the Yosemite Lodge on the west end near Yosemite Falls and the Ahwahnee Hotel a few blocks to the north. The village is characterized by shed-style architecture making heavy use of native wood. There is a film exhibit, a museum, and an Ansel Adams gallery available for your enjoyment and browsing. The Merced River is in the central part of the California. It runs 145 miles long from its beginning and flows from the Sierra Nevada into the central valleys of the state. It is most well known for its swift and steep course through the southern part of Yosemite National Park, and the world-famous Yosemite Valley. The river's character changes dramatically once it reaches the foothills and the lowlands, becoming a slow-moving waterway meandering through irrigated fields. The headwaters of the Merced River are at 8,017 feet at the foot of the Clark Range, the sub-range of the Sierra Nevada. The flow begins in the southeastern corner of Yosemite National Park after they have cascaded down glacially polished slopes from the high country. There the Merced River begins its trek to the lower elevations of the central valleys. The river moves downward and westward through a series of canyons, gorges and finally the flat plains of the Central Valley. From its headwaters, the river flows north and northwest, runs 2.5 miles through a steep walled canyon before entering Washburn Lake at 7,612 feet. The Merced finally arrives and spills over an unnamed granite cascade into Little Yosemite Valley, a glacial valley that sits 2,000 feet above the more famous Yosemite Valley. It then drops over Nevada Falls and Vernal Falls and passes into the main Yosemite Valley, where it meanders between pine forests that fill the valley floor. It moves westward through Yosemite Valley and then follows State Route 140 southwest into the Central Valley where it finally joins the San Joaquin River. Bridal Veil Fall is one of the most prominent waterfalls in Yosemite Valley and is seen yearly by millions of visitors to Yosemite National Park. The waterfall is 620 feet in height and flows year-round. Though it is not the tallest fall in the park, many say this is one of the most beautiful, and it is the first one visitors see after they pass through the famed Wattle Tunnel. Its waters often sway with the breeze and provide some beautiful rainbows in the late afternoon light. The glaciers that carved Yosemite Valley left many hanging valleys which spawned the waterfalls that poured into the valley. All of the waterways that fed these falls carved the hanging valleys into steep cascades with the exception of Bridal Veil Fall. Bridal Veil Creek still leaps into the valley from the edge of the precipice. The primary source of Bridal Veil Falls is Ostrander Lake, some 10 miles to the south. My stay overnight in the Yosemite Park area was just outside the park's west entry gate at the Yosemite View Lodge in El Portal, California. The facility rests on the bank of a rushing torrent of water which is the Merced River heading west and then southwest. There are few available accommodations in the area, shopping locations, or places to eat. Civilization is 40 to 50 miles to the west or southwest. That is not a good choice as the drive-in is quite difficult and tedious. Yet many workers in the area must travel to the area each day. They face mountainous terrain roads and weather of all sorts throughout the year. Personally, they couldn't pay me enough to consider that as a daily part of my life. The lodge is 2 miles from the west entrance to Yosemite National Park. El Capitan is 8 miles away while the upper Yosemite Falls are 10.6 miles. Yosemite View Lodge offers 2 outdoor pools, an indoor pool, and spa tubs. The on-site restaurant serves breakfast and dinner. Immediately next to the restaurant is a pizza operation that meets the needs of guests in the wilderness very well. Every guest room features the Merced Rivers or just outside their room and powerful views of nature from the balconies and windows of every accommodation. While the rooms are not of the luxury type, despite the fact the cost per night is, not every visitor to Yosemite desires a dyed-in-the-wool camping experience underneath the stars. Some folks visiting would dream of hotels with luxurious accommodations and modern amenities. They might also believe that is possible, like at Disney World, along with close proximity to the wonders of nature waiting just around the corner. That is not the case at Yosemite at this time. Rather, the Yosemite View Lodge is one of those hotels that offer all the comfort you expect from a luxury resort hotel but in the wilderness and old-aged sort of way. It does in fact deliver what its name suggests, and that is Yosemite views. As the closest resort accommodations near the Yosemite Valley, it has been thoughtfully designed to span the edge of the majestic Merced River, with most rooms providing gorgeous views of the river from the comfort of your own balcony or outdoor spot. In its old-aged charm, the Yosemite View Lodge is a source of beauty, comfort, atmosphere, and convenience. It is a wonderful stepping-off point for your discovery of the beauty and splendor that makes Yosemite National Park one of the most treasured parks in America. We are now at the end of our trip to Yosemite. There are just a small number of general photos captured at various spots along the way that are left to visit, and by early morning I will be heading south to Kings Canyon National Park, some 160 miles away. Hopefully you have found the visit to Yosemite as fascinating and impressive as I did. The pictures which follows are often of places that I don't have a name for but were captured as I made my way to specific places that have already been highlighted in this 2D set. Next stop, Squaw Valley and Kings Canyon. Kings Canyon National Park is located in the southern Sierra Nevada mountain range, south of Yosemite and directly north of and adjoining Sequoia National Park. The park features a number of scenic wonders, including some of the largest sequoia trees in the world. A centerpiece is General Grant, a tree that is nearly 2,000 years old. It has been damaged by fire, and a large tent-shaped section on the non-viewing side has produced an empty shell other than the perimeter. Kings Canyon on the east side of the park is 8,000 feet deep with the Kings River near. That depth is 1.5 miles, and as such is one of the deepest canyons in the United States. The park also has some of the highest mountain peaks, with several above 14,000 feet. The highest mountain in the United States is just outside the park to the southeast and is Mount Whitney at 14,505 feet, located next to Sequoia National Park. Kings Canyon Park is composed of two distinct areas: Grant Grove, home to the General Grant trees, also known as the nation's Christmas tree, and Cedar Grove. With its deep valleys, skyscraping trees, and distinctive rock outcroppings, Kings Canyon National Park is a place that is a rival to Yosemite. Elevations in the park run from 1,370 feet above sea level to 14,494 feet. With the completion of our visit to the Kings Canyon National Park, we begin our return trip north to Reno by way of the Sonora Pass. As we proceed in the path of our original route into Kings Canyon from Fresno on State Road 180, we are able to capture long-distance views of Squaw Valley from the high elevation of 6,000 feet. Once we head north again on Highway 41 from Fresno, we are at a much lower elevation following the western slopes of the Sierras for about 120 miles. Then we swing easterly for nearly 90 miles on State Road 108 in our approach and passage over the Sonora Pass and down the steep eastern side of the Sierras to Highway 395. The pass, with an elevation of 9,624 feet, is the second highest highway pass in the Sierra Nevada, lower by 321 feet than the Toyota Pass to the south. The pass connects the communities of Sonora to the west and Bridgeport to the east. Like most high Sierra Nevada passes, the highway is closed in winter, generally between November and May, due to snow accumulation. The highway is extremely steep, exceeding 8% for most of the traverse, and up to 26% grades in some locations. It is narrow and winding. The route is not recommended for vehicles or vehicle combinations that are unusually wide, heavy or long. With the Sonora Pass behind us, we are now left with the final leg of our drive back to Reno, which is where we began this trip. The road follows the eastern slope of the Sierra Nevada mountains on Highway 395 and runs 70 miles into Reno. Along the way there are some of the most beautiful vistas, shots of the Sierras, and a range of tall mountains to the east, Pine Nut Mountain Range. The photos which follow reflect some of the views I was able to capture from time to time as I pulled off the road to use the camera. All the shots are taken from Highway 395. Some look west towards the Sierra while others look eastward toward the Pine Nut Mountains. Others focus on targets that are near Highway 395 such as lakes and surrounding landscape. The trip ends back in Reno and last night stay at the Peppermill Resort Hotel. With a wonderful week of travel, photography, and a visit to some of the best America has to offer, it is time to return home. While it is always great to be home, I will miss all of what I have seen and visited during this past week. To bring this video voyage to an end, I thought it might be nice to go out with an ending that is similar to part 1's beginning. Thus, I am going to utilize the separate airplane ride to bring some added emphasis to this vacation. First, we will take off from Reno on a short video taken during the winter time with mountains covered in snow. To further enjoy the ride, look for the following as the aircraft gains altitude. The takeoff is to the south, and with filming aimed to the west you will see the mountains and then their increase in size. Highway 395 is the first recognized landmark as it ribbons and follows south along the eastern slopes of the Sierra Nevada mountains. About 2 minutes and 40 seconds into the flight you will see the mountain cluster that must be crossed by State Road 431 to gain access to Lake Tahoe. Mount Rose is the highest peak in that area. Soon thereafter, below the wing you will begin to see a large blue area which is Lake Tahoe. The length of the lake is visible. This video is followed by a landing at Tampa International. The initial view finds the aircraft on a north flight pattern and high over the Gandy Bridge. Soon the glide brings the Howard Franklin looking west into view. Finally the runway and touchdown. It then takes
shifted during the flight. If you have any questions regarding connecting flight, baggage claim, hotel accommodation, or ground transportation, there will be a confidential agent meeting the flight to assist you. It's been a sincere pleasure having you on board today, and on behalf of Continental Airlines, our Star Alliance partners, and its entire Houston-based crew,